What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another edition of the Lombard Trucking Show. We're at episode 93. Want to thank you all for joining me. Um, let's see. I'm home at the moment, if you couldn't see, and back off the road. And that's how I actually wanted to start this show, was to thank everybody who's recently reached out to me. I got a lot of kind words, especially on LinkedIn. I've been reached out to by a lot of old friends of mine from back home. I can't express my gratitude enough for the kind words and support after I released my last episode. There's a lot of emotion behind that one. A few messages that stick out to me came from fellow drivers who reached out to me on Twitter, and specifically, said that they hated to hear it because they hate to hear somebody with such a passion and they hate to see that a good driver is leaving the industry. And to hear that means a lot, because as I've said in multiple videos, as I've said on this show, I do consider trucking probably the most, or if not the most patriotic job one can do. At the end of the day, given all of its flaws and the circumstances going on in the industry, it is true, and as corny as it sounds, it's how the country runs. And having that direct, in the face, in the zone, on the field, role in the supply chain is the crux of everything transportation. So when it comes down to the drivers, this industry can run with a few less brokers. It can run with a few less software engineers. It could run with a few less links of the chain, so to speak. But drivers are, a different kind of breed when it comes to it. Seeing that direct impact, being somebody who's delivered farm equipment to a gentleman's farm who bought that equipment, that farm's been open for years. That's something that means a lot to me. And like I said, the door's not forever closed. Getting back behind the wheel, like I said, I'm merely pivoting, leaning into something I know that I'm going to succeed at, be good at. And at the end of the day, one of the things I'm going to be doing, and this is a direct quote from somebody who I met in Kansas City, and I want to make sure I pronounce his name right. His name's Adam Wingfield. I got to see him speak, and one of his biggest things was leaving the industry better than we found it. And I took that to heart when I heard him in Kansas City, because that's exactly what I'm going to continue to be doing through pumping out content, through working as a driver recruiter with Hot Seat Services, through becoming a fitness coach, getting more certifications, helping drivers with their health and wellness. And depending on how things can cash flow business-wise, to pivot back into becoming a motor carrier, or at least acquiring more equipment one day, it's not out of the realm of possibility. Doors necessarily didn't close. They're just, kind of cracked open for right now. Like I said, I don't look at, opportunities and stuff as closed doors, what have you. There's a few closed doors out there. Probably not going to get back in the military. Probably not going to, I'm not going to get another undergraduate degree, so to speak. Like, there's doors that have definitely closed. So we're just moving forward. But without further ado, episode 93, got an awesome guest I'm bringing on, fellow driver out there, funniest guy. We met on TikTok and have always just had funny interactions with each other. He's got a positive personality. He's a fellow tri-stater, OG from New York. So without any further delay, I want to bring him on the show, Mr. Eddie, aka the Interstate Avocado. What's going on, brother?
Nothing much, man. Thanks for having me on the show. I really appreciate that. I've actually I've listened to a couple of your episodes, man, and I love what you do on social media, and that running stuff, man, it gets me pumped, man. It really does. Like, it's so great to see something like that on the internet, especially in the trucking industry, when you have a lot of negative stuff going on, a lot of negative drivers, a lot of drivers who come out here lying they ass off about anything and everything they can lie about. They're gonna lie about it, and I just love to see the honesty, the upbeat spirit. Like, I love that, because that's the type of person I am.
No, I can't appreciate that enough. I've mentioned this before on the show, and I've mentioned it in some of the TikTok videos, in other types of content. I view social media and content creation similar to the environment, where, as in, if you take a barrel of oil and dump it into the river, you probably shouldn't drink out of the river. And so I look at what people dump onto the internet the same way. When you dump nothing but lies, negativity, hate and discontent, polarizing, and everything under the sun, everything we see from mainstream media outlets, etc. When you dump that out there, people are, that's what everybody's consuming, and it's just not good for the environment. And so that's part of the reason what gives me the motivation. Hey, I want to make these videos, let people know that, hey, they can do hard things. They're worth it. They need to be healthy. Being healthy is how you win. So, man, I appreciate it enough. And likewise, back at you, man. You're a positive guy. You share like raw moments on the road. Like you posted a video just recently about how you were cooking food in your truck, which I love to see, but you didn't have a fork.
Yeah, and I was not going back inside. I was not gonna come back to the truck and reheat the food that I already reheated once. You know what? We're gonna make do with what we got. These are God's forks right here.
Yeah, go back. Yeah, go back to the original. No, I feel you on that. I've once ran out of forks, only had spoons, and it sucks cutting your chicken with a spoon. But you get it done. That, like I
Right,
said, we do the hard things here.
right, right.
But so
We're
where you
we're
at?
into
Where
it.
are you at right now?
Right now I'm just east of Cheyenne, coming into Sydney. I'm on a what do you call this? On an on ramp.
Ah, okay. So you're just pulled over, taking a break right now. Okay,
Yeah,
safely,
pretty
right?
much. Yeah,
Yeah, we don't
safely
we don't
off.
want anybody to think
Yeah,
think it's unsafe. Well, it's daylight out, so you're fine.
yeah.
As
It's
long, yeah,
daylight out. I'm off very off on the side, but yeah.
yeah, and you're not, yeah, as long as you're not doing your 10-hour break there. Like I said,
Oh
we
no, man. I like to take my 10-hour breaks right in the middle of the highway. That's where I like to do mine.
not the fuel island.
No, man. I leave that for my showers.
Yeah, hopefully anybody listening knows exactly what we're talking about. That was actually a conversation we were having on Twitter yesterday. Is the fuel island etiquette? Let me ask you. Let's Before we get into your story, I want to ask you. So what is proper fuel island etiquette? What do you think? What do you think is the proper amount of time? And so this doesn't mean you're waiting in line when you pull up and you're in front of the nozzles. What do you think is proper etiquette from that point forward?
Well, there's to me personally, I'm not sure about everybody else. Me personally, I can have two different answers. I have two different answers. I'm a night driver. I drive nights. At nighttime, I'm not gonna find a parking spot to where I can just pull out of the fuel island and go find a parking spot. So it's either the fuel island, take my 30-minute break, or the shoulder on ramp. And we all see what happened at in Illinois the other day. So at nighttime, personally, I'll take my 30 at the fuel island. Daytime, oh well, I'll take that back. If it's busy at that fuel island at nighttime, like some places are, then I'll figure it out down the road. But in the daytime, when everybody's up and moving, the regular 9 to 5ers, sun up drivers, I'm in and out. I can fuel my truck in about 7, 8 minutes, and we're talking this truck has about 225 gallons capacity. DEF, pull up, and it only takes me about 4 minutes to go inside, use the restroom, wash my hands, grab anything that I may need, some snacks, and pull out. So I'm in and out within like 13, 14 minutes.
Yeah, no, that's I'd say that's standard. There's probably a lot of people are going to listen to that and cheer. That's what I do. It takes 10 minutes to fuel and def up, get your windows. I will pull up, refill my coffee, possibly take a leak and maybe grab a Ghost energy drink or something, and then I'm out of there. So I mean, you can in retrospect, depending on how long you had to wait in line, you can cop a 30-minute break if
Right.
you're waiting behind somebody who's getting fuel. So it's like you can get that full off duty time, but for the most part, yeah. Now nighttime, different thing. If you're pulling into a Love's and it's 2:30 in the morning,
You're not
you
gonna
can.
find anywhere to pull forward and to take finish out your 30-minute break. So I normally take the end, and it's crazy because a lot of night drivers out there kind of know what's going on. You see a truck with their lights off at the pump, it's at the last pump. You kind of already know what's going on. And then, usually that's the first driver to leave. And then like it's kind of like night drivers know what's going on at nighttime.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of people. I've seen a lot of comments like that on TikTok where, because I've made a lot of videos and posted a lot of clips from the show talking about parking, and that is one of those gripes out there from in the comment section of it's you solar powered drivers who can never find a parking spot. Yeah, it's always the ones who drive when the sun's up who
Right.
can't find the spot, and there's some truth in the middle to that, but not everybody has the opportunity to drive at night because of appointment times and XYZ, and that's just how it is. But what can you do?
Yeah.
It's good, but good to know.
Yeah.
So man, what's your story, brother? Where are you from? Where'd you grow up? How'd you get into this industry? I see you got a
So
Yankees hat on.
yeah, so I'm from the Bronx, so I'm a Yankees fan. Mets are, somewhere on the bottom there, but
It's
they
tough.
both
That's
suck.
tough to hear.
They both suck right now, so it doesn't even matter. But no, so I grew up in the Bronx. I was born and raised. When I was like about 16, I moved to Florida, and then I've been kind of there ever since. But I've been kind of back and forth because I still have family there. So my first trucking like experience that I've ever remembered is my cousin has an uncle who used to drive for Swift way back when I was like maybe I don't know like 6 or 7, and he used to come with a bobtail around like where we used to hang out and stuff like that. And I've always thought that was like so cool. And then I remember I was like about 11. My aunt took me to Six Flags. And on the way back, I didn't know it at the time, but looking back at it now, it was a Peterbilt with a whole bunch of chicken lights pulling I want to say it was a cow pot. So
A Swift
I
truck?
thought no, a regular black Peterbilt.
Ah, okay.
Like, and I thought like, damn, those lights on that truck look so cool. Like
Mm.
like that looks so nice. And then I was about like 10 or 11, and then I didn't think about it again till like I was about like 21. Yeah, like 21, 22, and then I kind of just um I went to go for my CDL, and then I had to like get surgery, health reasons and stuff like that. So I had to take a year off, and then after that I got it 3 years ago actually. My
So you got
CDL, yeah.
got your CDL 3 years ago. Did you go to school down in Florida?
Yeah, so I actually went to school in Florida. I started with good old Cedar Rapids Steel Team, Crash Roll and Stunt Teams. Yeah, I started with CRST. Um, 0 out of 10. Do not recommend. They will put you in the truck with somebody you don't know. And in my instance, I just happened to get somebody that had 3 accidents within 2 weeks.
Okay, so let's backtrack. So the school you went to, was it CRST school, or did you pay out of pocket?
No, it was a contractor school. So I
Uh-huh.
did not pay. I did not pay for anything until afterwards because I didn't complete my contract. But it was called JTech Institute, or it is called JTech Institute. It's up in Jacksonville, Florida. They put me up in this raggedy ass hotel, really bad. But the school was actually really good. So it wasn't one of those like steel mills, one of those Swift schools where they kind of just. So it was like it was a, to me personally, it was a really good school. Like one of the instructors, he was a Marine. He was still actively in the Marines. Um, and he's been doing this for like I don't know like 20 years, and a lot of guys there, a lot of the instructors there were like very 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 good. Like I would ask questions and they would answer, and like I even asked them questions about stuff that wasn't on the curriculum. And like I was like, how do you hook up? They'll okay, no, you do this, that, the third, and just tips and tricks and stuff like that. And it was like literally my school experience was very, very good. The only bad part was the hotel that I was staying at and the company that I just happened to sign that contract with. But the school was really good.
Okay. Now we got a commenter in here, Mr. Robert Powell on LinkedIn. He's chopping in. What was the name you just called CRST? Because that was a good nickname. I want to hear that too. What's their nickname?
Crash, roll, and stunt team.
Crash, roll, and stunt team. That's good. I can't wait. I can't wait to use that one too. Okay, so we had a similar kind of experience. I went to a school that was an independent school. I went to ATDS in Killeen, Texas, and now it wasn't. That's a school that Pam Transport paid for me to go to. I commuted to that school because I only lived about 45 minutes away. So this is the same thing. Like everybody who went to your school not everybody was going to CRST right after. Like some of them were going off to different companies.
So, okay, so yes and no. So, in my specific class, my specific group, we were only CRST students, but on the other side of the school, they did have their own, like they did the two classes were separate. So
Okay,
we weren't together at any one point. So like we use CRST provided trucks and trailers and everything like that, and
gotcha.
they had their own section on the other side for their independent people who were paying out of pocket.
No, I got you. That makes sense. So it was a larger school, and so but yeah, so CRST is just heavily involved with that. Now this is a question because I noticed this with other large carriers in school. Did they give you the option to get to be able to drive a manual, or did they push you through automatics?
So I do not have a restriction. Fun fact, I was actually the second to last class with that CRST program to get my license in a manual.
Really?
That
So they
yeah,
don't do that. So if you were to try to get your CDL now out of the same school through CRST, you're getting automatic.
correct. And I don't even think CRST does has a contract with that school anymore because they've been sending everybody up to I think it's like a school in Colorado or a school up in Cedar Rapids or something like that, where it's all automatic.
Ah, okay.
I did know like after I left, I did know that like I think you had the option to go manual, but I'm not there anymore. It's been 3 years, so I don't know how accurate that information was or is at this time.
No, yeah, no, I got you. This is good information to have. I'm trying to. I've had. I haven't had a. You're the first like former CRST guy on here, so getting this intel is good.
Yeah.
This is stuff people need to hear about because it's important to know what's going on. I've mentioned on this show, I don't believe in getting rid of automatic trucks because, hey, there's old guys out there with shot knees and stuff like that. However, from a training perspective, having the barrier to entry of the manual restriction is just better training
Yeah.
overall, personally. And I think you could probably agree. I mean, that at least in having that in your back pocket, knowing because you're better able to under gauge the control of the vehicle
Yeah,
personally.
so I personally feel like I can control the vehicle a lot better. So like I actually just got into this automatic and I've been like reaching for a stick that's not there because I want to control I want to like feel like I can if I need to downshift the gear, if I need to like it just I feel like I'm more in control of the vehicle. I feel like I'm more in tune with my vehicle. Um, and I think that makes for a better driver. Personally, even like regular four wheelers, like I have an automatic car and I also have a manual car. I prefer to drive my manual car over my automatic. Just the automatic is a little bit more, more luxurious, more comfortable.
Yeah, I'd love to look at the stats on if, car companies, went back to only manufacturing manuals, how much distracted driving would go down. I think it's maybe it could be something worth investigating for
Yeah.
people. So CRST, what was it? You got with a trainer. So you were put with a trainer. Your
hmm
trainer had the three accidents, or they forced you to team.
No, so okay, so CRST is a team only. It's a team only company, team operated trucks, all of them. Except they had like a few exceptions, a few solo exceptions, and we're talking about CRST expedited. I'm not talking about CRST dedicated or CRST specialized or the flatbed. CRST expedited is team only. As far as I was there 3 years ago. Um, so they're mainly like team loads, hot loads, ready or stuff like that. So as soon as you get out of school, your trainer will call you, all that good stuff, and then you get on the phone with your trainer, see where they're gonna pick you up. I happen to just have one of the better trainers there, and I actually still talk to her to this day. So she was great, like 20 years experience. Um, Fun fact, I met her at there's a drop yard over there in Memphis, Tennessee, right across the street from the Loves, or like right down the road. And I was literally 3 hours in. She's like, "All right, we're gonna go practice some backing. Practice some backing." She's like, "Okay, I'm gonna go take a nap." But she was still a great trainer. I'm not gonna knock her for that, but she was still a great trainer. Other than that, like the experience with CRST was kind of bogus because after that you spend 3 weeks there or like 21, 28 days, something like that. So about 3 weeks with your trainer. Then I picked somebody to team with from my orientation class because I thought we were like getting along, and then it's just like kind of like the line leading the blind because you put two brand new people in a truck, and I'm the type of person. I came into this industry. I'm asking a lot of questions. I ask questions at the school. I ask questions to my trainer. I ask any questions that I can ask. I was asking it, and he would just wake me up for everything. Hey, bro, what is? I remember one of the more ridiculous ones. I was in we was up in Chicago. It's like, what's a lumper fee? Man, I don't know. I got the same amount of time on a truck as you do. Call dispatch and figure it out. I don't know. I'm going back to sleep. And next thing you know, he like ran over a wall or some shit.
Oh,
Yeah,
nice.
yeah,
Oh man, that's tough. See that I don't understand at I mean, it's just CRST. I'm curious what their turnover numbers are, but the idea of putting guys in teams on expedited freight just tells me. I mean, if anybody on LinkedIn is watching or listening, or if anybody who works for, or if anybody who's a broker or whoever here's like knows this, like, hey, because team drivers and finding teams for a broker is very rare, and it's just that's just the idea that a team truck could be driven by guys with less than 3 months experience should tells a lot. It
yeah,
tells a lot about the status of the industry. So that's crazy. So this guy, while you were with him, he crashed 3 times.
yeah. So he did. He ran over a wall in Chicago. It was one of those like it wasn't a big wall. It's kind of like when you're backing into a dock. It was a street back, which I had to back it in for him anyways. On him pulling out, he went over the. It's like about. It wasn't that tall. Ran the trailer right over it. Couple days later, at a FedEx, um, he I don't know what he was doing. He was backing up to the trailer, and I'm like literally 2 minutes into my sleep, and he just backs into the trailer. Truck had to get like broke the fairings off. Truck had to get We had to go get a whole nother truck because like there were like holes in it and everything. And then he at a some spot in Illinois, he like ran it into a ditch.
Oh man, that's tough.
Yeah.
Now nothing happens. Nothing happens to your CDL when that happens, right? I would assume not, but
I don't
nothing.
think so. Yeah, nothing did happen to my CDL. I mean, none of them were like no accidents where like the cops were called or anything like that. Um, Everything was just kind of, kept driving after the first two, and then that last one, I kind of like, all right, well, I need to find me somebody else because
Yeah.
you're
So
not
yeah,
working out.
yeah. So how'd you split off from that, and like how'd the rest of your tenure at CRST go?
So after that, at that point, I had like about a month and a half in already, or like about 7 weeks, including training. So 3 weeks training, the rest with him. After that, there was another kid from the training class. I was like, all right, well, let's team, because it's either somebody that you barely know that you kind of already met, or you just pick from a list. So kind of drove with him, but he wasn't driving. Like he would drive like 3 hours, and this was before they changed the regulations on the ELD regulations. So once you started your 8 hour clock, like your 8 hour clock was ticking down.
Mhm.
So he would just drive for like 30, 45 minutes to an hour, take like a 20-minute break, drive, take another 20-minute break, drive, take another 20-minute break. So at the end of his shift, he would only have driven like 250 miles, if that.
Oh yeah,
So
man. Yeah. You got to keep that left door closed, man. He's
yeah,
killing time out there.
yeah, he was killing a lot of time, and then you know, I would be left, to be driving the 500 miles or so, whatever the hell it was. And then at the end of that, like we kind of went home for home time, and I just emailed them. I'm like, I left the truck in his possession. You do with that information what you will. But the truck is not abandoned. I left it with him, and he ended up like leaving the truck abandoned somewhere in a parking lot.
I always thought about that the home time with a team driver when you're with a teammate who's not your spouse or not like your friend from the same town. So this was the first time you went on home time with him because yeah, essentially, I'm sure they probably set it up to where you guys probably lived within 300 miles.
Yeah. So I live in Southwest Florida, over by like Fort Myers, and he lived up at the time in like the Orlando. So it's about a 3.5 hour drive.
Yeah.
Um, so it was. I think it's like 150 some, 60 some miles, something like that.
Okay, so that makes sense. And so the first time you went on home time, you're like,
Yeah, I
I'm
just left.
out.
I left the truck with him. I already had a job. As a matter of fact, I was coming into the scales on into California. I was coming into the ag station on 10, and as I'm coming through the way station, I'm like, it's probably not smart to say this, but I'm like clicking my phone, click clacking my phone, freaking filling out applications. Like, we need to go. He's like, oh, I need the recruiter for the second company that I went to. He's like, I need you to send me this, that, the third. All right, I'm in the scale. Okay, and I just kept click clacking after I left the scales.
Mhm.
Yeah, I was out of there.
Yeah, no, I feel you on that. That's what it's like at some of these larger carriers. I mean, like, because was your I felt you feel like a number. You
Yeah,
truly do, like to how it works. And it's like even when I remember when I quit Pam and what like when I left, it was like it was routine. Like I had
yeah.
wrote this nice message on the Qualcomm and this email, and it was just like off the rip. Hey, can you? Like the response was just, can you drop your truck off in Irving? It wasn't like, hey, what can we do better, or blah blah blah, or where are you going, or anything. It was just like, can you drop your truck in Irving? We'll pay you for a bus ticket. And it's like, it's like it's like they spoke to me like I'm a hooker or something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's what I've realized that. I've quit a couple of actually the when I worked at CFI as well. That's where I really got like all my experience was CFI, like, or at least my like first year, the rest of my first year. And CFI was actually more like the my driver manager. She's like, oh, is there any, like, she legit like was like really such a, like, I loved her as a fleet manager. She's like, hey, is there anything we can do better? Like, anything, do you mind dropping off the truck to the terminal in Joplin up there? And I'm like, no, I don't mind. Like, nothing. You guys did nothing wrong. I'm just going to a better opportunity. And she even called me like 2 months later, talk, hey, are you like, do you want to, can you come back? Are you willing to come back? At this point, I already had like a year and a half. So she's like, we're looking for some qualified trainers. And while you're here, like, I'm looking like no service failures. Like, she was really like on top of it. And CFI is a much bigger company than my last company, Central Oregon. And they actually didn't like, at that point I said, I'm not sending a nice message. I'm not sending a nice message. Like, I'm calling in like, listen, I'm quitting. Where do you want me to leave this truck? You want me to
Hmm.
take it back, or do you want me to just drop it off at a Kenworth? Oh no, bring it back. Okay, cool. And that was the end of it.
Hmm.
Like, there was no other conversation. So, I guess even the smaller companies can do that too, it's not
Yeah.
just the bigger ones.
So you're saying that that's how it ended up with Central Oregon,
Yeah.
like when they
Central.
dropped it off.
Hmm.
Okay. Yeah, we'll get so after you leave CRST, you go to CFI.
Yes.
Okay, it's from CFI from there. Now I've seen CFI a lot. I talked to a driver from there. He said he got fired because he didn't have his seatbelt on in a truck stop. Is there any validity to that? Because I think they have driver facing cameras. I think it might have been his like second time getting caught without his seatbelt on. I'm just curious. This is my own
So
curiosity asking.
when I was at CFI was about what, about a year and a half, 2 years ago. I think I want to say 2021 or something like that. They did have driver facing cams, but it wasn't turned on. It
Hmm.
wasn't turned on to the fact that I even had a piece of tape over mine, and I never got a call for it. They did have front drivers, so I don't know what the validity of that is, but I know safety is a big thing over there. Actually, one of their when I was working there, one of the newer safety guys was actually a former DOT officer. So there was a lot of good insight there regarding safety and all that good stuff. But I don't know I, I, I don't know what their rules are now, because since then they was sold by T Force or by Transforce to Heartland. So I
Hmm.
don't know. I don't know what Heartland's. I never worked for Heartland. Don't never talk to a driver from Heartland, so I don't know what what their policies are and stuff like that.
I wonder if that's what change happened because what's crazy. I just actually did an episode not too long ago because CFI, for the same reason that recruiter was calling you, they're truly desperate for trainers
Yeah.
because of their turnover. They're asking the FMCSA for an exemption
Hmm.
on their OTR trainers because they're having such a hard time because they don't have enough trainers for the amount of students coming in, and
Yeah.
it's crazy. It's they and just by and this is just me thinking out loud is they've invested money in their safety department by hiring a former DOT officer when they could be investing that money towards employee development, which could probably keep their turnover lower, and then thus they wouldn't need so many trainers and to try to lure you back in. That
Right.
yeah, that's just me thinking out loud. Yeah, like I said, they're a large carrier. I mean, that's good. So, but your overall experience with CFI, something like you don't have any super complaints about. It was
I
pretty.
mean, I loved it there. The one bad experience that I've had there, it's probably like I had a night dispatch calling me like while I'm sleeping and stuff like that. But I ripped her a new one, and then my fleet manager called me the very next day and apologized about that whole situation.
Oh,
So personally, for me, it was a good experience. But CFI to me is not a company that you make 5, 6, 7 million miles at. There are drivers out there that have been there that long. I personally wasn't going to be one of them because they are just another Swift and another one of these starter companies that you kind of just got to go to the school, get your experience, and then go
it's
somewhere
yeah,
else.
it's a stay. Yeah, it's a stepping stone from there.
Yeah.
That's no, it's funny. You got check called by a dispatcher, and man, if only there was somebody to ever escalate that to, because I've gotten check calls from brokers, that oversee people overseas who want to know where the load is at 2 in the morning, and it's like I don't have anybody to complain to about that. I would have loved if somebody could have apologized to me for that, but no, that's funny.
Right.
So from CFI, what made you end up leaving there, and where'd you go next?
So from there, I just kind of wanted to go, make more money. I was make At that time I was making like $900 a week, which for being under a year, personally for me, I feel like that was okay. Like I wasn't, I was just kind of getting my foot in the door. And then after that, I was like, all right, I got my year experience. There's money out there. There's money to
Mhm.
be made out there. There's way more money. I went over to Creek Carriers. I was pulling for Schaefer, their reefer. But then after that, I went with a husband of one of my aunts who's been in the game for a couple of years, about like he's been driving for like around 10, has his own authority. So I kind of went over after 3 months of pulling reefer. Um, Creep was good. There was nothing wrong with Creep, other than really intense micromanaging. Like when I mean really intense, like if you get five extra gallons, like let's say you're fueling up, you got your fuel stop, you got 5 gallons, you're fine. You got six, you're getting a call the next day. Hey, you fuel too much at this fuel stop. So that was like a no go for me. So I left them, and then I kind of went with my aunt's husband, and I kind of just I pulled with him for like about a year. Yeah, about a year. I was actually driving a Dub 9 18 speed.
Oh,
Um,
hell yeah.
yeah, so I trained with him for like about a month and a half. We team drove because I only had experience with the 10, but I only went to school for the 10. I didn't really have experience with the 10. I only knew barely, I didn't know how to flow gears and none of that. So I drove with him for a good minute, and then I actually became an owner up after that. And
Hmm.
I actually stood with him. I leased on with him. I went into business with somebody. I bought a classic, and was gonna pay him the money back, and all of a sudden he turns up, you got to pay me 1,200 bucks a week. And at this point, the market's already kind of like, I was pulling, I didn't have my own trailer or nothing like that. So I was doing, what do you call that? Power only. I was
Hmm.
doing power only. So, the money's not great there. The money's not great to begin with. The money's definitely not great there. And then he's like, "You got to pay me 1,200 bucks a week." I said, "What?" So I was actually staying broke for like the first 3 months. I had the truck for 3 months. I was staying completely broke because I was only bringing in like about 22, 23 after expenses and all that stuff. And he's like, "Well, either pay me the money or bring me the truck. So I took him the truck, and I said, well, screw it. Like I'm not gonna stress myself out for a damn truck, especially not when the market's like this. So I gave it back. I gave it to him, and I went over to Central Oregon, and then I was there for like about 8 9 months.
Awesome. So basically, from this, so man, you should have stayed in that W-9. Talk about the clout you can get
Uh,
from that. I mean, what on TikTok, what you can get with a, with a fucking beast machine like that.
yeah,
I think one of your former coworkers, but Bethany, she just got one, and man,
yeah,
that thing's a beast.
yeah,
Look good. You got to be looking
yeah.
out. You got to be looking out for the clout, dude.
Yeah, I mean, I was looking at I made it a little bit. I was making a couple videos here and there on TikTok. I was more on YouTube. I was still more on YouTube at the time. So like, and it's like, I mean, I had a 6NZ in it, Caterpillar. Like it was definitely a beast. But then the opportunity came to get that truck, the classic that I got, which I was also gonna use it for clout. Put it all
Hmm.
nice, and then it that went to shit. So I said, you know what, let's go try flatbed then.
Yeah. So the market took a tumble. Now this truck. I'm assuming you were leasing this truck from a gentleman, or you kind of just went in on a down payment or what have you.
So so it was kind of, so it's a close guy. Well, not close to me anymore, but it's my brother's dad, pretty much.
Y
So it's my
Oh, so
brother's dad.
not your aunt's husband, not it has
No,
nothing to do with the
the
previous.
classic, yeah,
Yeah.
the classic has nothing. So I'm actually still good with him. Like, if I wanted to, I can go, because he has two trucks. My aunt's husband, I can go drive one of the trucks, but he's not gonna give me the W9
Yeah.
anymore. He's gonna give me the Columbia that he has.
Oh, yeah.
I don't want to drive the Columbia. So, but my brother's dad, he kind of fronted me the money or whatever, and then kind of like he thought that he kind of wanted me to really work with one of his close friends or something like that. He really wanted me to work with him, like so bad that I already knew. I was like, this man, they're gonna scam me, but they're gonna go into the Raycon and bring down the price already than what it is, and then still take their percentage from the top. Like, so I was like, there's no way I'm gonna go drive with this guy. So
Mhm.
then he was like, "Oh well, bring me back the truck or take." So I was like, "All right, take the truck. I guess you know what you're doing with it, right? Take it."
Awesome. Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
no, dude, that's good you were able to walk out of that because there's people who are locked into worse situations. So that's good you were able to get out and so at that point, you have multiple years experience. And so in Central Oregon, I believe Joe came on the show and Jesse, I think they're looking at now you needed a year and they'll train you on flatbed. So you went over with
Hmm.
them and that was your first flatbed experience with
Yeah.
going
So
with
I
them.
didn't know a thing about flatbed, and I actually, when I first came into the industry, I said, There's no way I'm doing flatbed. There's no way I'm gonna be outside, not even for the cold. I don't like the heat. There's no way I'm gonna be outside in Arizona, 125-degree weather, tarp and stuff. No way, no way, no way. And then I said, you know what? Screw it. So I called a recruiter, and I actually saw, the way I went over there was through Joe and Jesse. I was watching their videos on TikTok, and I'm like, this seems like a good company to drive for. Like, they're pretty cool. Like, all right, cool. So I went over there. Um, in the winter, like the recruiting process was actually pretty smooth. I love my recruiter. Um, like, and I was like, all right. He's like, it's gonna be a learning curve. You don't know anything about flatbed. You're gonna be out there in the cold. It's gonna be an uphill battle for you. And I said, well, I'm good with the code. It's okay. I can throw layers on. So went over there, orientation on Monday. So I went over there, and like, the orientation process was flawless. It was really good. The driver coaches there, they're all great. But at first it started off great, man. I really enjoyed it there. I really, really did like it there. And then it just, after a while, it just went to, I don't know what it went to, but I don't know if shit's the word, but it definitely went to shit after that.
So you kind of weren't getting the miles that you kind of were looking
Yes,
for.
yeah. So pretty much at first I started off making the miles, making the stuff, and I'm the type of driver, like, I get to my delivery the night before. If I'm not at the delivery site, even reefer and dry van, even though reefer, you got to set appointments and stuff like that. I'm in the vicinity. I'm parked on a side street somewhere. I'm parked nearby where I'm like less than 15 minutes away. So I was continuing to do that. Like, I was getting the miles, and then it kind of went down a little bit. kind of kept going down, and I'm like, all right, cool, that's okay. Like, it's fine, it's fine. I was netting in like, at first I was netting in like a good 17, 1800, no problem. Then I started netting in like 15, 16. I said, all right, that's okay. Like, I'll take the bad times. If this is what's bad, then I'm okay with that. Then I went on home time one time, came back out, and it was hard to get like, it was hard to get 2,000 miles. And I'm like still doing the same kind of work, tarping. My tarp came down to like about 45 minutes. So I'm out here tarping in this hot ass weather, like especially like I had one load in Plaster City, California. It's like 112 degrees outside,
Oh hell yeah.
excessive heat warning and all that stuff. And like I'm doing everything that I'm supposed to do, and I'm doing it right. And then I'm noticing I'm not getting the miles, and I'm like, yo, what's going on? So and disclaimer, this is my experience. Not everybody has the same experience at that company. So um, to me, they're still a good company. It was just my experience. My experience didn't pan out. So I'm still doing that, but I'm not getting the miles in. And I'm working, and I'm noticing like people, everybody like everybody that I would talk to on the phone, you're rolling a lot. And I'm like, yeah, I'm running, but I'm not like, it's not, my running is not equating to the money that I'm getting. So I had to like call it. I had to call it a day because there was only so much I could say. There's only so many times I could call in like, hey, can you send me a load? I'm my ETA is this. I'm gonna be there for on-time delivery. Can you please send me a load? And I was, I didn't have loads before I was unloaded, and yeah,
Weren't
I would even
pre-planned. Yeah.
call. Yeah, I wasn't pre-planned, and I was calling in with my ETA like, hey, look, listen, um, I'm gonna be unloaded tomorrow by 9 a.m. Whatever. I'm like on time delivery, stuff like that. And I just wasn't getting pre-planned. The communication wasn't there. Like, it was, for me, it was a complete shit show after like a couple months being there.
No, yeah, I can. What I can tell you is, I don't think you're alone in that right now. If as a company driver, and I understand maybe it's because they got to spread out the miles the best they can, and
Right.
I'm not trying to rationalize or speak for them, but this was becoming my issue. As the entire summer, even after I got back after my accident, was because you started with Central Oregon in January.
I actually started in November.
Okay, so you started in November, and yeah, I got on. I contracted on with Warren Transport in January, and I started off like running good. And this is in the wintertime, doing specialized, moving oversized stuff, and I was getting loads. I was always pre-planned, and even before I was pre-planned, I'd have load options. Like I would have
Hmm.
options of 3 to 5 stuff that they had coming from their customers, and then slowly over time, like I was getting pre-planned less and less. And I mean, there are even company drivers out there now who are waiting on their, waiting for the next load. The loads are taken are only going 200-300 mile clips. So I'm curious if just you're one of those possibly you were one of those casualties of the market. I mean,
Yeah.
overall, you're on TikTok just like I am. Rates are in the toilet.
Right.
Demand is absolutely plummeted. So I mean, a lot of that's going on, and it's just so. I mean, this is good information for people to hear that, hey, even a good company that is normally has been a great outfit, unfortunately is having retention issues now due to the market. And
Right.
I think that's important to realize, like I said. And look, yeah, and you're absolutely right, dude. You got to look out for number one. You got to do what's best for you. If they're not getting you
Right.
the miles, if they're not if if you're trying to work and they're not, and there's nothing, and there's no work for you to be done, you got to go find that work.
Right.
And that's just how it is. So it's unfortunate it had to happen to you because, like I said, I've had Joe and Jesse on the show. They seem like a great outfit. I'm sure they are, and it's just maybe sometimes that's just how the cookie crumbles. But that's your experience.
Right. Like, yeah, so that's why I said like I put that disclaimer out there because I don't want to. I'm good friends with Joe and Jesse, and they do great work. So I'm not I'm not saying that what they're. I don't want the people to think that what they're putting out there is a lie, because it isn't. I had those miles. I had those 3,500 weeks and those 3,600 mile weeks. I've had those miles. Just, I guess I became, with the market and everything, I became one of those numbers. And it happens. It's nobody's fault. It's not their fault. It's not my fault. It's, I had to find my better opportunity, which came up. But also, like, I still everybody in the office, I still think they're good people. Everybody in the office, even with, I've had maybe some minor communication issues and stuff like that, and there's nothing that you can't call them about. Hey, I feel like this, that, the third, and personally in the office, I feel like they're great office staff. Um, are there some things that maybe they could work on? Yeah, but their open door policy, you can talk to them and stuff like that. But I just felt like, I got to look out for myself the same way they look out for them. The company has to look out for themselves. So, if you're like a safety liability and stuff like that, they're gonna let you go and whatnot. So I, the way I think about when you have a job or you're working for somebody, the same way they can let you go is the same way you have to let a company go. Like, I'm not quitting, I'm firing you pretty much. Like, I pretty much fired them to find another fit.
Yeah, man. No, but that's well said. And hey, yeah, you were candid on here on what your paychecks were coming in from them. I never, ask anybody to share, the exact amount of money that they're making, and you candidly open that up, and that makes sense. That and just from my experience, you're absolutely right when it comes to the weather. I can tell you that. So anybody who thinks flatbedding in the cold is an issue, absolutely not. The first thing I chained down, I mean, and we're from the Northeast. We know what winter feels like. And first load I chained down, it was, it was a John Deere tractor. It was 25 degrees in Iowa. It was snowing. I loved every minute of it. But I had to, yeah, uh, I had to chain down, 12-foot wide, 14 tall combine, not far from California where you're from. I was in Holtsville, California. It was like
Mhm.
115 and then, I mean, it was absolutely,
It
hell on
was
earth.
literally, it's literally, that's what it is down there. It's brutal. And I thought, like, that was my problem with when I first came into, I'm not doing flatbed. It's not because of the cold, it's because of the heat.
No, the heat will do it. Throwing those tarps are 80 pounds. Throwing those things over in
Man,
100
like,
degrees.
and like shade and all, like, I was in shade and all, but that didn't help anything. I went through, like, if I say I went through 6 bottles of water, I would say that's too little bit of water that I went through. Like, I went
Mhm.
through a lot of water that
Yeah,
day.
just talking about it's making me drink some water, get me hot. But so that leads you. So you split from Central Oregon. You got a new opportunity. So where are you at now?
So right now, I'm not gonna disclose my company name, but I am. You can say it's one of those Chicago-based carriers. I'm not a Chicago-based carrier, but it's one of those kind of outfits.
The stereotype
Yeah,
patterns. We call them
yeah,
patterns here.
exactly.
Yeah.
It's the pattern. It's the I don't can't find a word for it. The stereotype.
Mhm.
So it is one of those stereotypes, and I've been here for about, like, I want to say, I started last Wednesday, so today's Tuesday, so 6 days. I've been here 6 days, and I've been from Florida to Washington, and I'm in about to be in Nebraska now. So
So so you've been with them a week, and already you're getting the miles you want.
yeah, and I'm not even, so, like, right now I'm not even mileage pay, but these are the loads that they're getting for me, and the money's seeming to be here the first 6 days, so which I'm grateful for. Um, but it's definitely a lot of running, man. The stereotypes out there about these Chicago-based companies. I do not drive a white Volvo, but I do drive a red one. I do drive a red one. Okay, foot on the dash and all. So if you see me with my foot out the dash, don't say nothing, please. No, but all jokes aside, I actually don't do that. I find that actually kind of disturbing. But um, the stereotypes that are out there about these Chicago-based companies, with the logbooks and stuff like that, it is not a stereotype. It is the truth.
Okay, dude. I can't put into words how much I appreciate the honesty and integrity on here because sometimes people hear these things and they think it's nuance, but it's a reality, and it's something that I've gone on another show. I went on the Cents Per Mile podcast, and we talked about this, and we kind of almost talk about how the CRSTs are almost one and the same of the Chicago based carriers. They're both
Mhm.
with how they operate, it's almost very parallel. It's almost like one's above the ground, one's tunneling beneath,
Right.
and kind of how the state of the industry is. But this is where, and we talked about this beforehand, and it's just we're coming to the point to where that's where we're at in the industry is because here, let me actually backtrack. I just posted an Instagram reel and a TikTok video about a sponsored ad I just got on Instagram for a
Hmm.
Mendoza recruiting company. And I'm gonna tie this in a minute. And this Mendoza recruiting company will source you Mexican drivers through this visa program. And essentially, since this visa program allows them to work in the U.S. for 3 years, your company or your carrier will have this driver for 3 years. So you won't have to worry about them quitting in 3 months or a month, kind of like you leaving CRST in 3 months or something like that, or a
Right.
carrier, or almost similar to say for example your aunt's husband, and even though he still would give you the opportunity, it probably wasn't the greatest that you got out of his truck, so it gives you guaranteed labor for 3 years. But the thing is, those people are going to work at companies for what the current necessarily average pay is in the industry. And so because the average pay isn't paying a prevailing wage, what people who want to stay in this industry and truly love the job are almost forced to do is make the decision that you've made to go and get this job. And I don't fault anybody for this. I don't fault anybody for it. I don't think it's a bad thing. And the thing is, you can't fault it because no one's doing anything to stop it from existing. And so,
Literally.
and I almost tip my cap and salute you for doing it, because we just listen. We've just been spoken for the last 50 minutes. You're one of the better drivers that are out there on the road. You care about your job. You care about the industry, and you know what it can improve on. But hey, at the end of the day, you're the common denominator of these situations, and so you got to put yourself in that best position to move forward. So I can't appreciate you enough for sharing that, because that's the thing for the people listening to this show. And if you don't know what we mean by Chicago-based carrier, feel free to shoot me a message, and I can explain that how you are. So so this is brand new. So and you're
Yeah.
with them for a week, and they're getting you the miles,
Yeah. So yeah, they got me the miles, and
but you're not paid by the mile. So you're getting
so
percentage.
I'm getting percentage pay, 1099. So it's literally the stereotypes that you hear out there about these companies. It's literally what I'm doing, and I will say this: not every company is the same. So if there's somebody out there trying to go look for one of those carriers, you got to be careful who you choose. I just got lucky. Uh, One of my boys was in here already, and I came in here knowing what kind of what was expecting. But you hear a lot of stories out there. This company left me out here in the middle of nowhere, and they leaving me out in Chicago, and I live in California or I live in Arizona, and it's like I was at first I was like, I don't know about this, like, but he's been here a year, so I kind of like, all right, cool. I have a buddy who actually went to another one of those Chicago-based carriers, not based in Chicago, but based in New Jersey,
Mm.
and it's kind of like the same thing. But instead of messing with the logbook, he just has a second logbook.
Ah,
So like it's out there. There's money in this industry, but the way we can find it legally without having to, do run through hoops and whatever it is that we got to run through to get this money. We got to do it. We got to find a way to make the money, and doing it legally with 11 hours drive shift and stuff like that. It's not I'm not gonna say it's not possible because it is possible, but it's becoming harder and harder, especially when you mentioned that Mendoza recruiting stuff, and you know, and no fault of their own of immigrants coming in on work visas and trying to get. That's a whole different that's a whole different. It's not their fault that they're coming over here working for 35 cents a mile. You know what I'm saying? They don't
yeah,
know
no,
any better.
no, they don't, and if anything, it should be. And that this Mendoza recruiting, their offices are in Washington D.C. They're on Pennsylvania Avenue. They're down the road from the White House. If anything, where are the political pundits in this country, the progressives, the pro immigration people? Where are their eyes saying, it's indentured? It's essentially it's this form of indentured servitude, and it's like where are the eyes on this from all of the talking heads and the political pawns on the internet, because they'll bring it up in regards to anything else. But yeah, no fault on you can't fault these Mexican drivers because similar things are being done in Eastern Europe and then out in the Philippines and
Hmm.
Indochina and parts of India. It's happening all over.
Right.
Not just them. A kid commented on my Instagram or on my Instagram reel saying that they're doing this with a lot of Russian and Ukrainian, people. It's the same thing. They're getting these drivers over here. So I mean, it's just another testament of like, how many twisting narratives won't seem to link up and realize like, hey, the industry used to pay a prevailing wage pre 1980 and things were different, things were safer. And when they decided to change that in 1980 and throw a wrench in whole things, now we see who has the control
Right.
is just large retail companies and people who operate outside of the law.
Right.
so
And
so to, so to speak.
the ATA is for trucking, but fuck the ATA. Really, like they're not doing anything. They're literally not doing anything for us at all.
Yeah, there's lobbying organizations out there that could be putting a stop to this, and that's the and that's what their job is. That's the thing. So from that perspective, even from the perspective of OIDA, where where is their comment on this? Because even on the Mendoza recruiting website, it mentions these lobbying organizations talking about the driver shortage. It mentions it's all out in the open, and that's why
Right.
it doesn't matter even down to the double brokers. It's just completely brazen. What it's come down to. But look, man, I appreciate this level of honesty. I really think that this was an important conversation to have and get out there. I left it up to you on what you were willing to talk about, and it means a lot. If I know you might want to get rolling again, but I do have, I guess, two
Oh,
last
I got
comments,
some time.
questions.
I
Oh,
got some
perfect.
time.
Then let's
I got plenty of time, man. Time is on my hands right now.
Oh yeah, it's on you. You've got some autonomy back. Look at that. Is so you're and I say this as somebody who's worked off the spot market. Are you have like a company cell phone? They send you the rate con.
Yeah, so they send me the Raycon and all that good stuff. So um
Have you been
now
they've been sourcing their loads. You don't so you get your have you been talking to brokers, I guess is the best way to put this. Like have you been
um
engaging with the brokers or
yeah, so this is my second load. I've talked to brokers before when I was with my aunt's husband, like I said. So he's more like a one carrier kind of thing. So I have talked to brokers before in the past. These two loads here, I have talked to two brokers. The first broker was not bad. Talked to me like, hey, see that you picked up? Yeah, I picked up. Okay, hey, see, no, they didn't even call me for the delivery, so forget that. Then I saw the second load that I got was the. You want to take a guess on what brokerage they got this load from?
TQL?
Yes, and I said, and he's like, yeah, they're gonna call you. Oh no, they're not gonna call me. They're gonna blow my phone up, and I'm blocking the number because I will refuse to continue to pick up. Like you're tracking me. What do you need to call me for every 3 hours? You see where the load's at.
No, they
But
got the
fun
macro
fact,
point. Yeah.
they actually called me once at the pickup because I filled out the form wrong on their like TQL app or whatever. I like put that there was a problem when there actually wasn't. It was by mistake. But they actually haven't called me, so I guess maybe they're changing their ways.
hmm Now, I do have a question. And like I said, feel if you don't want to share, but so the current load you're on right now is through TQL.
Yes.
And what's the rate per mile on it? If you don't.
So I can't tell you the rate per mile because I didn't calculate it.
Mhm.
Um, but I can tell you that it picked up in Portland. It's going to Miami. It is a dry van load, 38,000 pounds, 5560.
So 5560. So Portland, Oregon to Miami, Florida.
Yes.
Let's just get that raw mileage. Portland, Oregon.
I think it's somewhere around like the 30, 3,300. 33. Yeah, because I'm down to like 2,000 miles, and I've driven yesterday and today. I've driven about 1,000, so about
Mhm.
33, somewhere around there.
I mean, you can't find Portland, Oregon to Miami, Florida. So you're saying it's about 3,000 miles. I'm curious what that my
And it was
phone is.
55, 60. I have a phone here. We'll do it at 3,000 to be, let's see. I have another. If I can pull up the calculator here, that'd be cool. So 55, 60 divided by about 185.
Yeah, man, that's tough. Yeah,
That's
so
real
they,
tough.
yeah, that those, so they're not, so where they might be doing the Chicago stereotype things, yeah,
They're
their
definitely
rates,
doing it. Yeah.
yeah, but yeah, so they're not, because this is curious. We engage in conversation on Twitter a lot, and dude, if you're not on Twitter, hop on. We're always talking freight on there, but there's a lot of talk about the rates
Mm-hmm.
going. A lot of guys are struggling with the rates. We were just talking about the
Right.
market, and so it's good to know that. Well, no, it's not good to know. Sorry, and because I know it has to do with your paycheck, but it's refreshing to hear that. Well, we're finding out who's hauling this freight, so to speak.
Right.
This is no fault to you, but people in a lot of Facebook groups and on Twitter, they're wondering who's taking this sub $2 per mile freight. Who's taking it? And you're kind of
Yeah.
telling us, hey, guess who's taking it? And
Right.
that
And
they are.
yeah, and I mean, so here's the thing, right? So obviously I'm losing money, right? Because they're taking this sub $2 per mile. But then when you look at the gram, if you look at it at my point of view, somebody who wants to make money, who needs to make money, who's trying to make money, if you look at the grand scheme of it all, if I'm fucking with my logbook and shit, right? Obviously I'm gonna be making more money than a company driver somewhere else, right?
Yeah.
Because I picked this load up on Monday. I'm delivering it Friday. I really didn't start driving till today. So tomorrow I'm driving 1,000 miles, and Thursday I'm driving 1,000 miles. You know what I'm saying? So it's really like 5 days, and I'm
Yeah.
already in Florida.
Because so that and it's another testament to more of everything we talk about is you're able to, yeah, you're able to work more, so that justifies the gentleman who owned your motor carrier to take that cheap freight, because even though they're losing on the back end, they're able to haul more than the guy who's going by the book,
Right.
than the owner operator, because the owner operators who are like the gentleman, some of them listen to this show, gentlemen who are part of an organization, TNOOA, who are a group of owner operators who are trying to make headway and make some difference with what's going on with rates. They don't seem to realize that some of their competition, it's not necessarily the brokers who are colluding. It is a group and cabal of motor carriers operating outside of the rule of law, and they're able
Right.
to do, for every one that they're able to do, for every one I would be able to do, you know, they're able to do too.
Right.
This is some crazy stuff, man. I really appreciate you coming on and sharing this.
Right. And I
Yeah.
mean, it sucks that I'm like, because I feel part of it, right? Now I'm in it. But at the end of the day, I got to look out for myself, right? And if I can't make that money running 10 and a half hours a day, 11 hours a day legally with a reputable motor carrier, what the hell am I supposed to do? I didn't go to college, so I know I didn't go to college. I tried it. It's not for me. So this is what I love doing, right? So in order to get my money up to where it needs to be so I can become an owner operator again, do it the right way and say no to the cheap freight, there's only one thing I can't make the money there, you know? I'm not doing a lease to purchase because that hell no.
Yeah.
I'm not there's
That
no way I'm doing that.
yeah, that's another get rich Ponzi scheme.
Right. So it's like, it sucks, but as one person, I got to look out for myself.
No, man, I that's what it is. It's survival of the fittest. You just get you like I said, you're the common denominator. You got to do it, and it seems like so. That was what I was going to ask. So that's what's next for you. So you're trying to you want to build back up, and you want to go back out and do your own thing eventually.
Yeah, so pretty much. So like all I'm gonna do, I'm not gonna be with this guy. I'm not gonna be with this outfit for long. It's not gonna be, oh, I'm gonna be here for years and years. I'm here to make my money, buy me a truck, get me a trailer, which you mentioned to the TikTok comment about the flatbed stuff. So I do want to do flatbed again, but I think I want to go a different route, step deck, because my last outfit, although it was flatbed, I was seeing the same amount of product, lumber and this, that, the third, and I want to do like, I don't know, equipment, farm equipment, stuff like that. Essentially, what I really want to do is get me my own truck and kind of go try bull hauling. I really want to. I can say one thing. One thing good is coming out of this. I'm making money. Well, two things. I'm making money and I'm getting myself prepared for the bull hauler. Because that's really what I want to do. I really want. That's the industry I want to be in, man. I'm a
Oh,
city kid. I was born in the Bronx, raised in the Bronx. I'm a city kid, but man, I'm a country guy at heart. Like I love being out in nature and being out with animals and all that stuff. Like that's what I want to do.
well, dude, that's number one. I could say the step deck definitely is better if you're going to flatbed because you can take higher freight and with permits and stuff like that. But dude, if you're looking to get into bull hauling, we can definitely make that. I just had a young girl on the show the other day. She can probably connect you with some people. And then there's a gentleman I know. He lives in Georgetown, Texas. He could probably find you with somebody. So if you're ever looking into hauling bulls, man, because yeah, those are the last those are the last remaining outlaws out there too. So we can make that happen.
Right. So like that's what I'm looking for. And I mean, right now I may be in shorts and flip flops, but I do own a pair of boots and I have jeans at home. I just don't need it right now because I'm falling into the Volvo stereotype.
Yeah, and for anybody out there, and the last thing I always want to say is we got to do some Volvo respect thing. I had on a gentleman, Jamie Hagan, good friend of the show, owner of Hellbent Express. He's a huge Mac respecter, and obviously Mac and Volvo are kind of, they're
One and the same kind
yeah,
of.
they're under the same umbrella, and people it's a really funny thing to do on trucker social media. I had this gentleman, Chris Tackett, on the show. I tagged him in your video, King Volvo. He's
Yeah.
very, very active on Facebook in trucker groups where he actively talks about how great Volvos are and the best trucks. And it's all funny. But the truth of the matter is the Volvo iShift is probably the best transmission there
Oh
is.
man. Oh, it's such a great. So, my last outfit, I had a manual Kenworth, so I can't really say to that. But when I was over at CFI and Schaefer, I had CFI had a automatic Kenworth. Schaefer, I had an automatic Freightliner. This Volvo automatic beats those two. Like I love it. The Volvo truck itself, like I didn't know until I drove one, but like this is Kenworth is the driver's truck and the T680 and the freight. This Volvo is a driver's truck. There's so much storage in here that like I don't even know what the hell I'm gonna do with once I finish finally moving into the truck.
Oh, yeah, I was in a Volvo at the last company I was a company driver at, has the RV set up. Yeah, the room is like unmatched. It was unbelievably comfortable. And dude, it really is. It's a fucking Cadillac. Like
Yeah, it really is. Like it's such a great like I really do like it. I thought like I love Freightliner would be at the least. Shorter wheelbase, going all over the damn place, shaking. So I really like the Kenworth. It's much more smoother to me compared to the Freightliner. But this Volvo, I think it just takes it because, on my way here from Florida up to Washington, 80 is not the best, and I was just gliding across 80, no problem. Also for the fact that I can go over 65.5, 64.5.
mhm.
So, but like the truck itself, it's so smooth. I guess the RV setup is where you can turn it into the table and stuff like that. Like
Hell yeah.
that's great. Like so much storage, so much space. The refrigerator itself is so much bigger than what the T680 has to offer, which means less spent time at Walmart buying, groceries and stuff like that because I couldn't fit nothing but like a pack of ground beef and maybe a couple Ziploc bags of salad in that thing.
Yeah, the fridge space was like probably the number one perk I had to say when I had the Volvo. Like, yeah, the fridge is taller. Yeah, I could have a lot more than because yeah, essentially I played Tetris and I could get a week's worth of groceries in my fridge. And the Peterbilt, Peterbilt has the same fridge as the Kenworth.
Yeah.
I know exactly what you're talking about. And yeah, it was always a huge pain. I pulled into a lot of WalMarts to repeatedly grocery shop, and yeah, no, it's definitely the driver's truck is what I'm gonna start using because I know because trust me, I know that the W9s and stuff have big sleepers and guys hook them up, but in reality, man, I remember going up the I-90 Mountain Pass and stuff in that Volvo and up these hills, and you're blowing almost fully loaded. You're blowing by freaking dudes in a 379 who are like putting up that hill.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I've definitely been passing some of these real truck drivers, you know.
Some of those long noses. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I definitely been passing them. They've been putting across 80, and I just been going gliding by. But I mean, it's definitely such a comfortable truck, and I mean, people hate on them, and I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm gonna continue to joke about it. I'm gonna continue to joke about putting my foot on the dash because it's fun. We make some light out of some situations.
Yeah.
But as far as like the truck itself goes, nobody should be knocking it because
No. Mhm.
they really do think about the driver compared to, in my opinion, the T680 and the Freight Shaker and the Peterbilts. Like, I feel like Volvo has the driver in mind.
Yeah, I know that. Well, first, the reason why the company was last company driver for chose Volvos. The CEO of the company told me he specifically chose them, and he even says he goes, "Oh, I know some older guys don't like them, etc." But the number one reason why he bought them is because in their safety feature is if it's involved in a head-on collision, the engine will go underneath the truck, like the way it
Hmm.
folds, like it's the
Yeah.
way it goes in a head-on collision. And essentially it's the safest truck for a driver to be in for a head-on collision. And like his number one thing was he could never live with having one of his drivers ever die
Right.
in a crash like that. And that was one of the main reasons. So safety wise, I think they definitely have it on top of, I think they keep it on top of their heads. Like I
Right.
said, I mean, I had Jamie Hagan from Hellbent Express. I mean, he got it. He has it down to the fuel mileage, really
Hmm.
being the science and the Mack trucks, and it is true. I mean, I think they're definitely the best on fuel. There's no
Yeah.
way any of the other trucks. I mean, maybe the new Peterbilts and Kenworths could be better, and like the Cascades are getting there. I don't know, but I mean, I got Jamie. For those of you who don't follow him, he'll go into detail with anybody about that stuff. But no, they definitely keep a driver focus. Dude, it's easy engagement on TikTok. As soon as you say Volvos are the best truck, oh,
Man.
it's 10,000 views.
So
People are
like
in your
I'm
comments.
doing it for the clout, man. I'm
Yeah,
doing
dude.
it for the clout now. And I mean, like, I really did like Kenworth. I'm not gonna say I dislike them now, but my last company, I had two different Kenworth, and I just had so I was that was another problem why I left too. It was just breakdown after breakdown after breakdown. On my way to turn the truck in, actually on my way to Central Oregon there, um, the truck turned off on me going down Cabbage on 84. So over a coolant sensor
Yeah.
issue, which has already been it was replaced like two or three times on the truck already prior to that. So it's like I was really so upset, and maybe it's the engine model or whatever. Packard, Packard sucks. Don't ever get Packard if anybody's listening. Leave it alone. Leave it at the Kenworth dealership or whatever. But that
It's
that was my problem too.
I'm with you, dude. The new were you in a brand new one?
No, I was in 22. I was in a 20, 22,
Okay, yeah.
21,
So
22, something like that.
yeah, so newer, but yeah, that's a constant highlight that I bring up. My friend Gore brings up on his show that the newer the trucks have gotten, I mean, just the more neutered and the more electronically just planned for failure that they
Yeah.
are with sensor upon sensor. everything. Whether I know early on it was DPF related. Now it's related to
Just
just
anything and everything.
yeah, and anything that can go wrong, and it's just another cash grab for dealers and dealerships and their warranty programs. It's another mess. And at the end of the day, the carrier doesn't lose, the driver loses at the
The
end.
driver, yeah,
When it comes to any of these coolant sensors, it's the operator loses. Whether you own it or not, even if you're a company guy still loses with all
yep.
this, and it adds more into the turnover people don't get. So these new trucks where they may be nice on the inside, when every little failure happens to them because they want
It's
to, yeah, you don't drive, you don't work.
yeah. So actually, one of my bigger breakdowns that I had over the last 8 months, out of the many that I've had, because I had at least in the 8 months that I was there, 8 9 months, I was broken down at least 8 times, at least once a month, if maybe more. I went to Cheyenne. I drove all the way from Rawlins, no, from Laramie to Cheyenne on a D rate or whatever. I made it all the way to Cheyenne, get it into the Kenworth. They replaced something 2 days. Called me 2 days later. Hey, the truck is ready, and I'm like, cool. I drive 16.8 miles to the point. I remember 16.8 miles. I'm on 25 going southbound, just past the way station. Got to call a wrecker. So that's not safe. I mean, you have all these safe trucks, but that's not safe if you're having freaking drivers that, having to get out and put my vest on and look out for traffic, and then having a tow operator come out and freaking, you know, hook up to that's not safe at all. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, screw that, man. Like, and I lost, I mean, so much money. Although I will say, so my last outfit, Central Oregon, you guys don't be discouraged. If you guys want to apply, I would, you do what I don't know if I would recommend it, but I would also recommend it at the same time. But they will get you, like, there's been like twice that I needed to be home. They got me home. One time they rented me my truck broke down in Birmingham. I needed really to get home to Florida. They rented me a car. I had home time set up in for some festival up there in Bend, Oregon. They flew me out because they wasn't going to be able to make it. I wasn't going to be able to make it back on time. Their breakdown pay is better. It's better than others I've seen. It's not like $100 after 48 hours or whatever it is. Um, if I'm not, it's somewhere in the like thousands, 1,400, 1,300, something like that. You can probably go comment on Jesse. Ask Joe and Jesse how much they pay for breakdown pay. I don't know.
Yeah, they'll
But
tell you.
yeah, so it's definitely like, they're definitely a good fit, just not a fit for me.
Yeah, no, that's good. It's good to know that they had good perks like that, but also a testament once again to, yeah, what this technology is doing to drivers, adding to why they want to quit, keeping them down. And it's at the end of the day, it is unsafe. Like just the idea of derating to 5 miles per hour, just the idea of trucks shutting off, all these coolant sensors and stuff like that. Businesses lose money, drivers, and you know, if the businesses are able to afford these new trucks, they'll probably survive, but the driver ends up losing in the end,
Good. Yep.
which always sucks.
Yeah,
But
it does.
yeah, but hey, man, we've been ripping for quite a bit. I gotta use the restroom. I gotta get out of here.
All
It's
right.
past my bedtime. But dude, I want to have you on again real soon.
All right.
Yeah, well, I'd love to have you on more, and we can just talk, and we'll
Yeah,
just
for
shoot
sure. I
shoot.
mean, we can definitely, definitely get into this more. Now that I'm in this, we can figure out what's going on with the market. Now that I'll definitely, I'll save those rate cons, and I can do the math on it, and I can come back and, we can see if it's getting better, getting worse, and what they're hauling for.
Yeah, man, I definitely love to get that inside baseball because it's stuff that I don't think a lot of people read FreightWaves Sonar and brokers talk and stuff, but now we kind of know who's hauling some of this freight, and you're a guy on the inside, so we'll have to reconnect soon.
Right, for sure. Yeah, I definitely agree. And I mean, I enjoyed my time here. I mean, you're just such a pleasure to talk to. Like, we can probably talk for hours. You said
Uh,
Joe was your best friend. This is shots fired for Joe. He is not your best friend. I'm your best friend.
yeah, cover this shot, dude. I can't appreciate it enough, man. I do. Yeah, I could keep going and going. Trust me, I've been at several parties, and my wife will come over and be like, is he bothering you? And they'll be like, no, this is really interesting. And I'll be at parties talking about things like the driver shortage, and people, and she'll be like, is this annoying? She'll be like, no, this is actually crazy.
Yeah, no, I'm like that too, man. I can talk about trucking for like hours. Everything that has to do with trucking, man.
Yeah.
I really have a love for this industry, and you actually don't see that a lot from new guys because they just want to get rich quick, but it's not, it's not that. For me, it's a lifestyle.
Yeah, man. No, I love it. We love to see it. And anybody's listening and watching, I mean, they need to see that out of you, and they need to see that there's people who want this, that, there's people who do have skin in the game, who really want to see what's, the best parts of this industry shine. And the fact of the matter is, guys like you deserve it more than anybody out there. And it's just, unfortunately, what on a long enough timeline is there's less and less of you guys sticking around. Well, there's less and
Right.
less Interstate Avocado sticking around, and that's not what the industry needs, because the end result just isn't good, and isn't good for the labor movement and for all the other good things we need to change in this country. So, but man, I can't appreciate you enough for coming on. People can find you on TikTok. Where?
So TikTok is Interstate Avocado. Um, it's spelled just like that, Interstate Avocado, nothing else. I'm also on Instagram, Interstate Avocado, and I may get back to doing YouTube, and my YouTube is Trucker Avocado. So I should have a video up within the next month because I'm going on vacation. So if you guys want to see YouTube videos, I do the long format there. TikTok is just more for raw moments. If I'm having a bad time, bad day, bad something, a great day, good day, something funny, that's for TikToks for.
Awesome. Well, hell yeah, man. No, like I said, I can't appreciate you enough for coming on. We'll do this again soon. Guys, you know where to find him and Interstate Avocado. You know where to find me at Lombard Trucking. And with that, we're going to head back to the bench. Take care.